Alright, so I definitely want this to become a regular type of content on the channel, but I don't have a good enough mic of my own to use, so I do apologize if the audio quality is a bit shitty, but just bear with me, please. Let's get right on to these stories. I've only ever talked about these stories with a few friends of mine, but they're pretty good, so why not talk about them on the internet? Where everyone can see. Yeah. The first one is really just something I did out of spite, but the second one is... well, just you'll see. Back in elementary school, I did not have that many friends, but I didn't really have many enemies either, at least not any in the same grade, which kinda worked out. In grade 6, my teacher was just a total fucking bitch. Like, honestly, let's just call her Mrs. Bitch. Like, I actually feel kind of bad for whoever decided to marry her. I mean, seriously, she was just angry all the time. It's almost like all she did was yell and punish students for the most ridiculous stuff you could ever possibly imagine. She once sent me to the office just for doodling on my work. Something that more or less everyone in the class did at one point. Were they punished? No. I don't know what it was, but she just always had a stick up her ass for some reason. Either that or she just really hated kids, which is ironic as hell because she was a teacher. Not to mention the fact that she was absent from the school the previous year due to being pregnant. Now, of course, I don't have anything against her anymore, probably because I haven't actually seen her in an entire decade, but there was one time in grade 6 where she just flew off the rails with anger. I mean, the worst part is that I can't even remember exactly why, so I have no clue as to whether or not her anger was justified. All I remember is that I may have gotten punished for something that I didn't even do, which happened a lot in this school because the place was built by Satan, and everyone was employed by Satan. Well, either that or every teacher was fucking stupid. I believe either, honestly. But if it wasn't that, the most I ever really did in the school in terms of bad behavior was maybe not finishing work or talking during class. You know, nothing incredibly serious, all common stuff. I mean, I was only 10 or 11 years old at this point. So she made me stay in at recess at the back of the class, sitting at a desk that had a giant metal plate bolted to it on the front for some reason. She moved me there for the rest of the day, too, so now I was just legitimately pissed. I was sitting there just stewing in my anger, thinking of a way to get back at her. And then I got it. Every teacher was required to have their own teaching equipment. I bet you already know where I'm going with this, don't you? Okay, so, while I was alone in the room, I got up and snatched the stapler from her desk. Luckily for me, there must have been a teacher's meeting or something because she didn't even come back until 5 or so minutes after recess ended, and everyone else was already in the room. After she was done with the lesson up at the front of the class, and we were all working on some assignment or whatever, she went back to her desk and she lost it. Well, not completely. She yelled less than I thought she would, actually, but she was still pretty angry, you know. She took a couple minutes to, like, rant about thieves and whatnot while she looked around the class for her pride and joy, a fucking stapler. I didn't think she'd react this horribly, so I was a little worried. I was alone in the room for 15 minutes, so she naturally suspected me immediately. However, when she looked around where I was sitting, she couldn't find it. I was wearing a t-shirt and those weird velvety jogging pants, you know the kind, so she knew I had no pockets. She had everyone else look in their desks and in my own desk across the room. The quote-unquote punishment desk I was sitting at didn't have an inside part, so it obviously couldn't have been in there. And this was grade 6, so our backpacks were out on the hall on hooks. She made some kind of punishment threat to the person who stole it, like standing in front of the class, and then she went back down and sat at her desk for the last 40 minutes of the school day without saying a word. Guess where the stapler was this entire time? In the bottom of my pant leg. At the end of the day, I took it out from there and hid it in my binder while I was putting everything away. And since there was that big metal part in front of the desk, and I was at the back of the class, no one saw. I more or less was just laughing to myself all the way home, but you might be thinking, Spike, it's just a stapler. What's the big deal? Well, I'll tell you what the big fucking deal is. The school was poor as hell, so, like I said, the teachers were required to have their own teaching equipment. So, with her stapler missing, she had to go buy another one herself, which not only was a waste of money, but it also put her a little bit behind on marking assignments, which actually mattered quite a bit at the time because she was already behind. To this day, I still have that same stapler. Alright, next story. This one has a better payoff, I swear. Mrs. Bitch was an absolute fucking saint compared to my grade 8 teacher. You know what, we're just gonna call him Mr. Dick, because he's still the teacher I hate the most. This dude treated me like garbage in a lot of tiny ways during my years in that school. He was intimidating as hell, always yelling at kids and stuff, like, somehow more frequently than Mrs. Bitch. Surprised those two didn't get married, honestly. Everything was relatively fine until he became my year-long teacher in grade 8. This guy. This fucking guy, oh boy. He was always yelling at the dudes for stuff in the class, never the girls. He would always chat up with the girls and be nice to them, but when it came to us dudes, he was the opposite. It's a little creepy, actually. There are literally too many things for me to even talk about in this video alone. A lot of things he did, I don't even remember, but I know they happened. But there were a few significant other things that I do remember, some of the worst stuff, so let's talk about those. For one, he would have the audacity to say loudly in front of the entire class that I was picking my nose. Was I? No. You can't scratch your nose without people thinking you're digging inside one nostril with a whole index finger somehow. I was not picking my nose. I swear to fuck. Everyone always thought that, but I would always be scratching it. It was bullshit. Anyway, he said stuff like that. And for a 12-year-old who already barely had any friends in the class at the time, like, saying that kind of embarrassing stuff, it was not helping. There was also a point where he'd say that I smell bad, which is, like, I also didn't. None of the other students said that I had some rank stank going on, and I even asked them, too. So either this guy had the nose of a fucking grizzly bear, or he just hated me for no reason. You know what? That seems to be a recurring theme in my school life, too. I do nothing to people, and they hate me regardless. The thing is, though, he punished me for it. What the hell kind of piece of human garbage does that? You smell bad, so I'm gonna make you sit in this empty room all day so you can think about what you've done. Who the fuck? What? What kind of backwards-ass logic is that? There was a dude in our class that smelled like a wet dog for like a solid 2 months. Was he punished? No. The other things were me not doing some schoolwork and also not bringing gym clothes to change into for gym class. Not doing schoolwork, sure, that's understandable, but gym clothes? Let's just get this out of the way. I've never, and I will never, change my clothes in front of other people, especially not other dudes. Number one, okay, you gotta be a girl. Number two, you gotta be pretty damn special to me for me to show you what's underneath all these clothes, although it's nothing great either. Whatever, I never understood the whole changing rooms thing. At least not until I was in high school when my less of a dick gym teacher explained it. Anyway, the gym clothes thing wasn't even an enforced rule until grade 8 as well, so I wasn't used to being obligated to bring a change of clothes. Not wanting to change in front of others was the first reason I never brought them. But the other reason is that I genuinely didn't have another change of clothes, and my mom couldn't afford one for me at the time. One day, he had enough, and he made me write a 300-word essay on why I didn't bring gym clothes. Yes, he did that. 300 words. How the fuck am I supposed to elaborate on that topic for more than 2 sentences? Shit was ridiculous. But even though my mom called the school and talked to him about it, I still had to do the essay. I managed to pull it off, but I don't even know how. I think I went off topic for like 200 words, but whatever, I bet he didn't even read it. At this point, I'm at the end of my rope. I hate this fucking teacher with every cell of my angry 13-year-old body. And I say 13-year-old because now we're nearing the end of the school year, which this teacher made a living hell. On the bright side, I now had a change of clothes for gym, although I changed in the bathroom across the hall from the gym instead, and I was catching up with my work, and I coated myself in cheap deodorant all the time now. You know, everything seemed to be fine. It seemed to be perfectly normal. But I was not going to just let him get away with being a dick. No, not happening. I never actually directly planned anything, but I had to figure out some way to get back at this can of smashed assholes. So, one of the last units for gym class was a track and field unit. 100, 200 meter dash, long jump, high jump, you know, the most basic ones for elementary school students. Our grade affected our qualification for a track and field tournament, or competition, that was held every year between schools in our region's school board. Mr. Dick loved this competition. He had a real hard-on for it. It was basically his favorite school activity. He was so eager to try and win every year. It's like it was the only thing I'd ever seen him actually excited about. Here's the thing, though. If you did well in the gym class qualifications, you were forced into the competition regardless of if you wanted to do it or not. You couldn't back out. I mean, this was 7 years ago, so I could be remembering it wrong, but all I know is that I just could not get out of doing it no matter what, so I had to go along with it. I even jokingly said that I wasn't going to go either, but I knew I had to. Otherwise, I'd be in serious trouble. So on the day of the competition, I woke up in the morning and I was fucking tired. I don't even remember how I let it happen, but I somehow fell asleep again, and my mom didn't wake me up. By the time I woke up again, I'd missed the bus. My mom was awake and mad at me. You see, my dad was at work, and my mom doesn't drive, so I had no way to even get to school now, to take the bus from there to the actual track where the competition was taking place. Oh well, it couldn't be that bad, right? I wasn't the most fit kid in the class, so I was sure that my other classmates who qualified could deliver the win on a silver platter. No. This was not the case, as I would find out the next day. On the bus the next morning, my other friend who rode the bus with me was like, "Dude, Mr. Dick is so mad at you." I was like, "What? Why?" Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy! Who knew there was a little rule with the competition that no one thought it would be important to make known to our class specifically? Turns out that if even one student from a school's team is absent from the competition, that team gets disqualified. Oh no. Granted, I didn't know that, so it technically wasn't my fault, right? Remember when I said that I jokingly said that I wasn't going to go, but I knew I had to? I was talking to my friends at the time, but apparently someone overheard me and fucking tattled. And of course, it was one of the Little Miss Perfect students who was good friends with Mr. Dick. Fucking bitch. Her tattling made it look like I planned all this and missed the competition on purpose, when that wasn't actually true. When I finally got in the building, he stopped me at the top of the stairs and just calmly said in the most condescending voice I've ever heard, "Why do you even come to school?" I don't fucking know. I froze up. I didn't know what to say. I was 13, and in the face of anyone who was even slightly intimidating to me, I never said a word. That pussy attitude of mine didn't change until late in high school, but that's another story. I remember him having a passive-aggressive conversation with me about the whole thing, and then that was it. He punished me for smelling bad, but not for ruining his favorite day of the year? Why? I was confused for quite a while, but then I remembered. I was absent the day before, so that means my mom had to call in my absence. And if a reason for the absence is given by the parent, the teacher is forbidden from punishing the student. Or at least that's how it worked in my school. I don't know if it's different anywhere else, but it seems fair. It may not have been on purpose initially, but I single-handedly ruined this prick's favorite day of the entire school year, and he couldn't do fucking anything about it. It was the best. Still totally worth it. So that's how I got revenge on two asshole teachers of mine. And trust me, they really did deserve it. Good times. Good times. Alright, so if you want more of these, let me know down in the comments below, and maybe even leave a like on the video. Subscribing is a thing too, but I'm not gonna preach that to you. You know, only if you feel like it. I would love to make more of these. But shit, my life isn't that interesting. Oh well, I'm sure I'll think of something to talk about. In fact, please do give suggestions. And if I have enough to talk about, I'll make a video about it. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next video with another story or two about totally stupid shit. Boy, I am terrible at outros.